Sam, welcome to my podcast. And I hear you have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Well, it's something interesting, I hope. My last guest was a drag.
Good afternoon, Joe Rogan. I've been invited to your show today to talk to you about the diverse aims of science, in particular, Angela Potocznik's paper, which explores these ideas.
Wow, sounds interesting.
First, Joe, we need to look at the traditional idea of science. What is science and what are its aims? Many believe that the traditional idea of science is to gain knowledge and truth about our natural world, how it works, and how it has become what it is today. Truth was often sought after by science in the sense that progress was measured how closely our theories match reality. Philosophers like Karl Popper and Thomas Kuhn saw scientific progress as a movement towards truth. Their idea was that truth was science's aim, and that scientific progress is valuable because it brings us closer to the truth.
Okay. Yeah, the aim of science is to find the truth of stuff, right? Where does this Angela person come in?
Well, Angela Potocznik had a different idea. Potocznik believed that truth wasn't even close to being the sole aim of science. She argues that scientific progress should not be understood solely in terms of truth, but as the pursuit of a broader set of goals, including explanation, prediction, problem solving, and above all, understanding. To support this, she points out that scientists regularly use simplified, idealized, and even false models, not because they are literally true, but because they help us understand complex phenomena.
Holy smokes. Wait, were you saying that some models in science aren't true?
Well, it's not that they're not true, but they're not entirely correct. There are aspects of almost every model that are slightly incorrect. For example, Joe, if you think about the Bohr model of the atom, the model suggests that the structure of the atom and the structure of the solar system is something these two share in common. This is inherently wrong, as electrons do not orbit the nucleus like planets do the sun. But the model is still used in everyday science as a better understanding of atoms, even though it is not true. The model is used to grasp coarse concepts around science.
Really? Can you put this into terms I understand? Explain it to me as if I'm a 10-year-old?
Okay, well, Joe, I know you like monkeys and stuff, right?
Dude, yeah, I love monkeys. So interesting how we are the evolved versions of them or something.
Okay, well, another example of this would be Charles Darwin's original theory of evolution. Darwin's theory that natural selection is a process that drives evolution was partly wrong, which did not lead to any truth. However, Darwin's theory was the cornerstone for understanding biology for centuries to come. It's used in everyday science as a framework for understanding the development of life on Earth. So, even though these models and theories are wrong and provide us no full truth, they can still help us immensely throughout science to understand how the world around us works.
Oh my God, dude, you are blowing my mind right now. This changes the way we as humans understand and approach the world in the future. And Angela was onto something. My brain hurts. Huh.
In fact, Joe, the idea that a large number of models are ultimately incorrect is widely known across all fields of practice. Popular statistician George Box claimed in his 1976 paper, All Models Are Wrong, but Some Are Useful, in which he's referring to the limitations of all models. But that's beside the point. Using these false models, Potocznik says that to understand, we don't need to have truth. We can use these false models and false outcomes to understand the subject more. They can help us recognize patterns and partnerships outside of the strict guidelines of the model. They can also help us to predict and explain phenomena. But what does this mean if we accept Potocznik's view of science? A model might misrepresent details but still be epistemically productive because it helps us reason, learn, or make new discoveries. Potocznik's view means we should all be careful when we use models and avoid being misled by simplifications. But if we were to take Potocznik's view on board, Many have agreed that this would make definitions in science too loose, and some even may lose trust in science. If we accept her view, scientific progress looks very different. Not only do we scrap the aim of finding truth, but focus on a more flexible, context-sensitive process aimed at solving problems, advancing human welfare, and expanding what we know as a society. So, Joe, what do you think?
Angela Potoknik challenges the traditional idea that truth is the fundamental aim of science. She argues that understanding, often supported by simplified or even false models, is just as important, if not more so. While this view may seem counterintuitive at first, it reflects the pragmatic, messy, and human nature of scientific inquiry. It invites us to rethink what we mean by scientific progress and to value the tools that help us make sense of the world, even when they're not perfectly true.